Yo, 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 what's going on? It's the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boys, Kuya P, aka Patrick Michael Strange, and I'm joined by the homie from Level Up Comedy, gonna level us up, Mr. Glenn Lawrence. What's up, Glenn?
What's up, baby? Good to be back in the NRW studios with you, talking about one of our favorite film franchises, the MCU.
Yes. And I just want to say, we've been giving you the latest phase with the Disney Plus content. We gave you WandaVision, we gave you Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we slipped up with Loki. But as I was talking with Glenn earlier, we're just gonna, because we've been busy, we're just gonna give you an entire recap of the Loki season. What do you say about that, Glenn?
Yeah, it's all about time travel. So why not time travel back and we'll skip back to it and then we'll give it to you. You know what I'm saying?
It
fits right in there.
There you go. Because your boys are busy, man. We're trying to give you a lot of content. So we're just going to wrap it up with one big bow. So I appreciate that, Glenn. I like that time travel reference right there. So yeah, man, the shows were put out with Disney Plus and now they're dropping the films in this next phase, which I believe is what phase, Glenn?
I think this is phase 4. I want to say phase 4. Maybe it's phase 5, but I'm pretty sure it's phase 4.
All right, let us know in the comments if we're wrong. Sometimes, and plus we'd like to hear from y'all. Let us know in the comments below. So Black Widow is out. Well, for the press. So we apologize. It ain't for everybody. It comes out on, let me get this right. I want to make sure I'm not slipping up. I believe it's July 9th. July 9th, looking at my notes. Tell me. Yes, July 9th, 2021 is out. We've got the advanced look. And we're going to talk all about it without spoiling. We're gonna be good. We're gonna do our best to not spoil, but we're gonna give you the overall story and some of the characters that you're gonna see in this that you don't see from the trailer and all that. And and have some fun with it. So overall thoughts, Glenn, going into this, did you have any kind of like preconceived notions? Did you have like any feelings coming into this first film in this next phase?
The thing about it is, we've been locked down or whatever. And this is the first Marvel movie coming out of that lockdown. So I was very excited and hoping to feel that nostalgia that I got from different Marvel movies. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was hoping for. And I don't feel like it disappointed. It gave me what I wanted. Although, I don't know, for some reason, it felt a little bit different. I just coming out of the pandemic, but it definitely still gave me the feeling and the I like yous that I get from the MCU. I don't know what an I like you is, but I got an I like you from it. It's like, the giddy. I got happy. So yeah, I was rocking with it.
Got you. Yeah. Well, so yeah, for me, I didn't come into this with anything. I had a lot of fun with how they finished it off with Endgame. Then we had these films with well, not films, but it felt like films with the TV series on Disney Plus. And what I learned from WandaVision, if y'all recall from with me and Glenn giving y'all our breakdowns every episode, was I'm going to stop kind of fan casting. I was let down by Mephisto stuff. I felt it, and a lot of people felt it too, because there's a lot of people out there like me that put that out there, and I learned my lesson. And if you saw from when we were talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier with me and Glenn, I kind of put myself back from that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to fan cast anymore. I just wanted to go with each episode, not trying to, put my nerdness into it and just enjoy it. And that's what made me also love Falcon Winter Soldier a lot more. And I did love WandaVision as well, which y'all know from hearing us talk. I thought it was classic and groundbreaking. And that's what I've been doing as well with Loki. And then you'll hear about our thoughts when we get to that Loki review. And so that's how I approached Black Widow. I didn't want to go in with any expectation. I just wanted to enjoy the experience. Again, like Glenn, you said, this is our first film kind of after this pandemic, although we're still, in this pandemic a little bit. But yeah,
if it makes you feel any better, Patrick, everybody else was doing the same thing to the point where there were memes about Falcon and Winter Mephisto, the Falcon Mephisto and the like everybody was doing the same thing. So you weren't the only one, No,
I feel that. But I just wanted to, for myself, for me to entertain and not like overthink stuff. I just needed to pull back because I'm still like the one, because I'm the Marvel head in our family. And I'm curious if you get the same thing with your family, like them bugging you because you read the comics and probably they don't read the comics. And so you become like the go-to, hey, did this happen? Does this happen? And I'm like, yo, I don't want to talk about it. Like my wife hits me up all the time, my daughter. And I was like, did this happen? Did this happen? I'm like, why don't you just go read this comic book? Here's a flurry of comic books. But then what they'll do is they'll go up on YouTube and hear other people fan cast. I'm like, you're ruining it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy the ride. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it takes away from the experience. And that's kind of like where I learned my lesson, by doing that Mephisto stuff. And
there you go.
So yeah, man. So let's talk about this, man. I'm gonna just give you kind of a brief run through of what goes down in the story. Let me pull up my notes. Where we at? All right. The film kicks off with young Natasha and family, quote unquote, family in Ohio. Essentially, it's like an episode of The Americans. If you're familiar with the show The Americans, basically Russian sleeper cell. We have young Natasha, her sister, and mother and father. They get found, and they are now escaping from the U.S. because their sleeper cell has been found. And as they leave, we get the opening credits of the film. And what I really want to say, it's a change in pace from previous films with their opening credits, previous Marvel films. We get to see a montage of actual backstory to kind of fill in the gaps of what happens after they leave from the US into the story that's going to happen 21 years later. Of what happens with Black Widow, essentially the Red Room. Well, we all know the Red Room story, so we kind of get an idea of what happened before Red Room, and then how she gets put into the Red Room in that whole process, along with her sister. What I really loved about it is I'm an old head, and I like that they use a version of Nirvana's "Smell Like Teen Spirit" by a group called Think Up Anger. I think it was very melodic and really set the tone as you're doing this montage of what happens with Natasha and her sister going through the Red Room. Let's stop there at that point. Glenn, what do you think of all of those elements of the sleeper cell family, and then going into these credits and learning how we get that backstory of Natasha and the Red Room?
I'll go into my notes. What I really love about when Marvel does something is they take you back there. And I got the same feel that we got from Guardians of the Galaxy, trying to figure out what Star-Lord's past was. I got that same feel from this, and I really enjoyed it. I love how they married the music. You liked the Smells Like Teen Spirit. I like the Bye Bye American Pie, that old, Bob Dylan. Or was it Bruce Springsteen or Bob Dylan song?
No. That's somebody else. It's escaping me. I know exactly who that is. I'll find that out while you do that.
Right. Old school singer. Forgive me for not remembering who it is. But that song just signifies
Don McLean. Don McLean. There we go. It signifies what was happening in that moment. And I really like how they marry those two. And you get to see how you get to see the difference in the two children. How, like when you're an older sibling, you kind of know what's going on, but your younger sibling is aware, but still like kind of naive in their awareness of what's going on. They know something's happening, but they don't know exactly what, or they can't really discern how serious it is. So you get all that feeling from it, and it really plays through in the rest of the movie. Really like it. Love when Marvel does the backstory. That's what I took away from it. Seeing what was happening with the Red Room and all that type of stuff in Natasha's past. I thought that was really cool. We get to dive deeper into that. We've been waiting for that. And I think it was done well. I was happy with how they depicted it. And I feel like we'll get into it a little bit further, but I really liked how it opened up and where it was taking us. And I got those what was it called? The I like yous. I got those feelings from the opening. You know what I mean? Just I feel that. I'm trying to figure out another word for that. What you're saying. Just like I had to look up Don McLean real quick.
Yeah, nostalgia. It's like the nostalgia plus the I like it plus the home good feeling. You know what I mean? Yeah. The familiar, all that.
Yeah, nostalgic vibes, good vibes. Nah, I love that. And yeah, I thought it was a great change up of pace of what they've done in previous stuff with that kind of montage to give you more story that usually they kind of, when they would do what they previously did, kind of takes you out of the moment. Here, they continued on with story while giving your title credits and everything like that. So I think it was really well done. All right, fast forward 21 years after that opening montage. This film, for those that don't know, because I'm sure a lot of y'all are like, man, isn't Black Widow dead? Yeah, she's dead. But we're getting a story that happens between Civil War and Infinity War. And for those that don't know, even more so, they wanted to actually have this come out prior to Endgame and all that. But at the time that they were going to make this film happen, your girl Scarlett Johansson was going to have a baby. And matter of fact, if you look at some of the shots from Age of Ultron, they kind of kept her belly hidden. They did a lot of secret, things with the camera to kind of mask the pregnancy, and they wanted to, roll into Black Widow, but then she was really ready to make this baby happen. So it was film trickery to actually get her in Age of Ultron, and then when they came down to film Black Widow, it just there wasn't time, and they had other stories already en route that we'll put this on the back burner, and then we'll come to it. But we're finally getting it, and it's a great film. So yes, this film happens. Scarlett Johansson, not Scarlett Johansson, but your girl Natasha Romanoff, she is dead since Endgame. That's not taken away. But this film, Black Widow, happens between Civil War and Infinity War. All right. So with that being said, go ahead, Glenn.
Oh, I was going to say, I just think I think it's great that they put it out like now or whatever. I think that the spot that it fills between Infinity or Civil War and Infinity War, I think it really does a good job of kind of rounding things out, because it feels like there's kind of a major jump, but for the time when we hadn't seen anything from Civil War to the time that we saw Infinity War, I'm glad that we get to see it now, because it was so much more of like a surprise of what was going to happen in Infinity War by not seeing it now, and then getting to see, because I feel like if they jump forward with Lawrence Pugh in the MCU, it feels great. It feels like it was put where it needed to be in the storytelling lexicon. Now, if I was going back and watching MCU, I would probably watch this after I watch Civil War, then watch this, and then watch Infinity War. But I feel like it coming out now, I don't feel like I missed a lot, and I feel like it was kind of the good warm up that I needed until we find out what's going to happen in this phase. You know what I mean? Who's going to be the big bad? What are we going to be leading up to? So I'm cool with it.
I got you on that. I think with it coming now, it makes sense and it hits different because we know what happened to her, during Endgame and all that. And now to kind of like go back and tell a story that we didn't have before. And then, with also the ramifications that we get without, we're not going to give you those spoilers that happen at the end of this film that bridges into the next phase. I think it's a good way to send off this character, and it fits perfect and it just hits different. You know what I'm saying?
Especially because there's some things that happen that you're just like, whoa, that may make you think about her differently. That if you didn't know what happened in Endgame and whatnot, you might not feel the same way as you do. You'll have to see the movie to know what we're talking about. Once you see the movie, you'll be like, oh, I get it. I see. Okay.
There you go. Yeah. So we're going to really quickly go through the rest of somewhat of the story contents without spoiling, because I don't want to spoil this for all of those people that haven't, you haven't seen this yet because it's not out for the rest of the people in the world to see it. So we want to do our best to just give you that rich film experience as you see this film. So again, this opens up 21 years later after our opening. This film happens between Civil War and Infinity War. Our girl Natasha is obviously, because again, this happens between that time period. Natasha is on the run, and we get to find out as well that her sister is out there. She's part of this whole Red Room facility. They're all both out there. They come to meet hopefully each other again because Taskmaster is after them, and we find out that this is all tied to events that happened with the Red Room. As they're finding that this is tied to that, they realize that they can't stop this threat alone. And so we go back to kind of our opener where we got introduced to her so-called father, played by David Harbour, who is the Red Guardian that we know, and as well as her quote unquote mother, Melina, played by Rachel Weisz. We have to get the band back together, if you will, to stop this threat. And so the film, I would have to say, kind of, even though this is a Black Widow film, this is very much a family film in a way, which might put people off a little bit that really wanted a kind of like a true character driven of Black Widow in this. I think it delivers to that to a degree, but then we get an even richer story. And why I also would say this film hits a little different because, when we lose somebody, we go back to family memories and those moments with certain people that we had in our lives, and it kind of deepens that understanding and our motivations to why we do the things we do, and why Scarlett, Scarlett, but Natasha was willing to sacrifice herself for the greater good for everyone. So stopping at that moment right there, because again, we want to be careful with not spoiling this film for you guys. What did you think about that, Glenn? To throw it back to you, as we get this whole mission, the family, as we saw from the opening, got disbanded because they were found out as a sleeper cell, and now Natasha, Yelena, Alexei, the Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, and Melina, played by Rachel Weisz, are all now coming together to stop this threat in the Taskmaster and the overall Red Room threat.
I will say this. I feel like Marvel does an excellent job of casting. I was very happy with everybody who was in the family. Feels like they fit. Nobody felt like out of place or, didn't fit what they were supposed to be for the story. And I liked it. I like her going back to her roots, and it made sense. She's trying to get off the grid or whatever, and she's trying to really, be away from all of that. But it's almost like as she leaves one family, the past is waiting for her, almost, so to speak, literally, like it's waiting for her as she tries to go off into her other world. But I thought the really cool thing about it was you realize that her being an Avenger saved her from the fate of having to deal with her old family, because it shielded her, you know what I'm saying, from having to deal with any of this. She's out saving the world. And you also get an idea of how the Avenger, like, everyone knows about the Avengers. It's a worldwide phenomenon. They're on the TV all the time. People talk about them. That's the one thing about the MCU that is really cool. They really delve into how the world is aware of the superheroes that are among them. And so, you get to see the family members and how they view Natasha as the one who got away and went off to do big things or whatever. Almost like a rapper that gets away from the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the same thing. Like, oh, we see you out there shining or whatever. I'm so proud or what. So I thought it was cool. I think it's cool how they bring family into this, how they made it a family film, even if this family is quite dysfunctional. But I feel like it really is a great depiction of what family means when you're, from a superhero ilk. One thing also that I don't think this is a spoiler, but because they show it like right up at the beginning or whatever, we get to understand how Black Widow was able to handle her own amongst all these other superheroes. And it's because she's part of the Black Widow program, and they don't really speak to this a lot in the movie, but she did get just a little dose of the super soldier serum or whatever. So we get to understand that. It's like, oh, that's why she doesn't fucking break, you know what I'm saying? Like a normal human would in some of these situations.
I think I might have missed that. I might have to catch that again. I don't remember that, Glenn.
In the very beginning, if you look at like the montage of everything where they have everything with the Black Room, there's like little blue vials at the very beginning where she's going through like the training and everything. And then they're like, oh, Black Widow program and all this other stuff. And there's little blue vials at the very beginning. Watch it. And I was like, oh, okay. They're trying to like kind of give you the little hint. And then you realize, because the Red Guardian, right? He's the super soldier of their thing. And then you see those little blue vials in conjunction with all the experiments that they're doing to the Black Widow. So I was like, okay, I see what I
don't know, Glenn. I think that's a pool there, because I think she's always been just a regular human that but a very optimal, gifted athlete,
I get you. I'm telling you, watch back and you'll be like,
okay. All right. I don't know about that one, Glenn. So let us know in the comments what you think about Glenn trying to say that, trying to take away from her just being just a regular chick that can handle herself. Like, I don't know about that, Glenn. I don't know about that, Glenn.
She's dope on her own. You know what I'm saying?
So let's get to the characters. You know what I'm saying? Because I really don't want to spoil this film for y'all. I think I gave essentially kind of a breakdown that fits with the trailer. Y'all know how this film is going to be in a way. It kind of, hits the same notes that from regular Marvel films. Although, we'll get into characters, and then we'll actually kind of even give you some more nuts and bolts without spoiling, because I want to get to that point. I think that's going to be the meat of this review for y'all. So let's just head up to the characters, man. For me, we know Scarlett Johansson. She does her job again, as usual, playing this character. But I think, to me, there's two bigger stars in this film. I think Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, I think, is that how we say her last name? As her sister, shines, man. I think she's outstanding as the quote unquote new Black Widow. Well, we can't say that yet. We don't know if she's going to continue on the legacy, but she's part of the whole Red Room group that gives you these characters, these Black Widow assassin characters. I think she was just outstanding. Glenn, what did you think of Yelena Belova, aka Florence Pugh, in her role as a sister?
Again, I feel like Marvel kills it with the casting, and she fits right in. Like, everybody that Marvel cast has this really unique ability to really kind of ingratiate themselves into the role and feel like they've been playing it their whole life. And we get that feeling from her. I love the interaction between her, and you really do get like a big sister, little sister feel from it. Much like you got the father son type of feel from Tony Stark and Peter Parker. You get that familial feel. And I think Marvel does a really good job about bringing people into the family. So I really loved her, to the point where it made Black Widow's character even more realistic to us. You know what I mean? Because now we get to see her interact with someone who looks up to her and is kind of like almost not quite an equal, but kind of close to an equal to her. So we get to see that aspect. Really love the casting of Lawrence Pugh, and I love Yelena Belova. And I'm like excited to see her interact with these other characters that she has just been watching her sister hang out with. You know what I mean? So she probably has all these preconceived notions about, oh, you're hanging out with Cap, you're hanging out with, Bruce Banner or Thor. I thought it was funny how that's the one that she like centered on, the god from space. But yeah, man, I really like it. Love the casting, love what she did with the character in this movie. I thought it was smooth.
Yeah, another great casting. She killed it. I first was introduced to Florence Pugh in Fighting with My Family, which was based on Paige from WWE Wrestling. So if you haven't seen Fighting with My Family, definitely check that out. And if you're a fan of wrestling, she was outstanding as Paige, playing her in that biopic. So shout out to Florence Pugh, man. Yeah, she killed it. Another great that I loved. To me, he killed this better than he did that Dark Horse Comics character that I still love. But to me, there's only one actor for Hellboy. But he played the updated Hellboy, David Harbour, who we also know from Stranger Things. I think was amazing as the Red Guardian, as a kind of like the quote unquote father figure in this. Again, stole a lot of scenes. He ate up his scenes. He killed it. Again. Like I said, this film is supposed to be about Scarlet, but I think they created this great family dynamic and gave us great characters, which, again, made it more of a family film in a way. But what do you think about David Harbour, man, our Red Guardian?
Loved him. It was interesting to see where Harper has been since the end of season 4 of Stranger Things, or season 3 of Stranger Things. Because it's funny, he ended up in Russia there, and now he's in Russia now. It's like, oh, that's where he went. He's doing missions. No, he did very, very a very good job of bringing this character to life. The Red Guardian, you get it, and it's interesting because you get kind of like the feeling of how much he is in love with the character that he is, and the patriotism that he has, and the love for being this other superhero, the foil to Captain America, even though we all know that Captain America has no idea that he even exists or whatever, which I thought was which I thought was great. But it's really kind of cool seeing him embody that role, and also embody the role of a father, and play that role of like somebody who has all these great abilities, but then also a family that he's got to take care of, and where he may fall short, or where he may have succeeded in making them the toughest. And really, if you think about it, he really made the best of a terrible situation for everybody involved. So I really liked the introduction to the character, and I liked it. Although I don't want to give short shrift to Rachel Weisz, because I thought her character was pretty good as the scientist of the whole. Or wait, no, that's not Rachel Weisz? I'm sorry. It's what is the actor, the one who did the scientist? Who's what is the mom's name?
It's Rachel Weisz.
Okay,
I was like, go ahead with. I was going to transition to her next, but you already went right into it, Glenn.
Oh,
so go ahead.
No, I really enjoyed her as well as the mom, as like the conflicted mother figure to the situation as well, and you kind of don't know if she's, you know, really into it. But they did a really good job of showing that they were patriotic first and then family second, and then over, like, you get to see those roles switch throughout the movie. So I really liked it. I really liked what she did. So I would add her to that that dynamic duo that you're talking about in terms of Florence Pugh and David Harbour. I would put Rachel Weisz in there as well. I thought she was awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna fall short on her. I was gonna come back to her, but to me, you know, if I'm like lining it up 1, 2, 3, you know, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, and then and then I'll, you know, throw Weiss out there, and she outstanding. I loved her from, to me, her classic films for me are the Mummy series, where I really enjoyed her in the Mummy, and now seeing her kind of do her thing in this, it fit. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was, again, that to me it was more of a family film. And you know, when we get into like more of me after we talk about these characters, you know, I'll tell you some more thoughts. But so yeah, just those characters definitely, you know, to me are the stars in the film. But of course, before we leave out of characters, we have to talk about a character that I know a lot of people were looking forward to. Shout out to my boy Chris Flick. I know it's his favorite character. He has this character tattooed all over himself. The Taskmaster. Finally hits the big screen. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to this. I had some thoughts on this. I thought it was a good change of pace. A different take on this character, but it will not be the character I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing from the comic book, because they did take some liberties. And I'll just go ahead and put this out there. My wife, who's not very familiar with the character, she saw the way they portray this character akin to what we remember from the X-Men films with I forgot who was the guy that was responsible for the Weapon X program, Stryker. Yeah, she compared Dreykov to, which is kind of your main protagonist behind Taskmaster in the Red Room, to Stryker, and Taskmaster essentially being Wolverine in a way, and how they kind of changed up this character for the cinematic universe. It was kind of made it flat. You know what I'm saying? I thought there was some moments, but I can't lie that I am slightly disappointed in what they did, because to me, it's such a great concept of a character that if they could have fleshed it out, maybe not done what you did exactly in the comic books, but kind of really made it more of a menace. To me, they just kind of made him a one-note villain that I don't know if you know, I don't want to spoil things, but I don't know. It may be different going forward. So I'm curious how they're going to do that going forward because of what they did with this. I think it could have been a much meatier villain. What do you got to say, Glenn, without spoiling on this?
I think the thing that I thought about Taskmaster was I like how he busted on the scene. I like the fight action sequences that he was in. I thought it was a great introduction to the character. And I feel like that's what we needed. What I didn't like is kind of a lot of the explanation of like, this is what Taskmaster does. And I feel like it was almost like people aren't going to understand what he's doing or whatever. And I would have liked to leave that part out of where everyone's kind of explaining what Taskmaster can do and what, like, it's like, okay, like, don't explain so much. Like, just let us learn, you know what I'm saying? Like, show us. Like, I thought they could have did that. That's what I thought. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know how much they took liberty with it. I thought the character was cool. I thought the introduction of the character was cool. I would have liked to learn more through seeing. So more sequences where Taskmaster has some damn task, as opposed to like the exposition-y sense of it, where it's like, this is what Taskmaster is doing. It's like, nah, show us that, as opposed, because they did show it to us in a lot of the fight scenes or in a lot of the scenes that Taskmaster was in. I would have liked to just see more of it. I just thought it was a cool character, and I thought the place that the character played was great. I think just having a couple more cool. This is the same problem that I had with Killmonger to an extent, where they did a lot of telling you that the person's a badass or what they can do, instead of like having one scene where it's like Killmonger or Taskmaster just takes out like everyone in the most aggressive way. I would have liked to see that a little bit more. But for what Taskmaster was tasked with, I thought we got a great introduction to them.
I think it's good you brought up Killmonger. I think because, again, that was another great character that got lost, you know, that they can't bring back again, or else if they do, that's going to take away from the the amazingness that was that exposition that we did in the original Black Panther. But I will say Killmonger gets the edge over Taskmaster in this. I don't think you can really connect. They try to, it's like a forced connection that they do with Taskmaster in this when you kind of get more of the details, but it's completely changed. And to me, they could have adapted and did a complete change, but in a different way to just show how great of a character, because the skill sets of Taskmaster, where this person can just literally watch anybody and then recreate it, is just an amazing power set. And if you know the comic books, and if you know that this character trained almost every villain, because it's how amazing and how skilled of a fighter that Taskmaster is. They just could have done so much more with this character, and I think it's going to let a lot of people down when they finally see it. There's some cool moments, but I think once they finally get some final revelations on who the character is, that they completely changed, and there's going to be some controversy.
I didn't have a problem with that so much.
I didn't have so much of a problem of who they make the person, but it's just, again, it makes it a one-note character, and now it's quickly lost.
But again,
better build with it. Personally,
I think the problem is what it personally, a little bit of what you're saying. I would have liked to see him watching or fighting live and adapting live as it's happening, as opposed to what we got. Because they did a lot of showing us that he's already studied the Avengers, right? We got to see a lot of that, but we didn't get to see how that manifests in his character real time. You know what I mean? You got the sense that he basically has downloaded all of his ability, as opposed to being able to live in the moment adapt to what is happening and then best his opponent. I would have liked to see that. I think that would have added more to it. I was cool with everything else that happened in the film, in terms of, like, you know, where the character came from and the origin. I thought it was cool because it does make a little bit more of a connection there, in my opinion. But again, I haven't read the comics, so yeah. But
it's completely different. They created their own version. Took the power sets and created their own version. So you're not missing anything there. So that's so that to me makes it a waste when they could have done a little bit another take with it. And so I think that's going to be the biggest disappointment for a lot of fans when they do finally see Black Widow. But again, to me, now to take it off of the characters, let's get into actual meat of this review without spoiling. I thought this was a great film. It's different than a lot of MCU films, but to me, it was more of a crime thriller. It kind of was a change of pace that we saw from like other MCU films. I would say it's very akin to what we got with Falcon and Winter Soldier, in that it's kind of a espionage, kind of like more real world. It really kind of strayed from the superhero formula in a way, although we do have those moments with Red Guardian and his kind of comedic sense, and then that's what brought like superhero elements into it. But we're dealing with, you know, two characters in the two Black Widows, Yelena and Natasha, that don't have powers. And again, I'll argue that point that you said earlier, Glenn, with her having a little bit of serum, because again, I don't think she does. You know, she's just an amazing human that just has these skilled abilities. And so it's a different take, and we get this background film story of, you know, what happened during that time between Civil War and Infinity War. To me, it's a fun film, although the third act kind of goes back into some tropes, and that's where it kind of falls off for me towards the end. And I want to see it again on the big screen. So hint for those of you guys that are kind of like maybe waiting and want to just not want to go to the theaters, that the final scene you're going to want to see on the big screen, because there's just a lot of things that I think are visual, but it also are tired kind of tropes that we know from Marvel films. But then you get, I think at the ending, where it builds up, which I don't want to talk on, but it gives me a lot of excitement for the future and what they're going to do with these characters, without spoiling. So that, just quickly on that front, what's another thing you want to talk about with this film, Glenn?
Really like where they went with it. Here's my thing. I feel like after watching after knowing that Fast 9 comes out, and as much stuff as we give the Fast series for being outlandish or whatever, I feel like, sometimes we give the Marvel movies a pass in that same vein, but it's sometimes the same type of ridiculousness that happens in these movies, and we kind of give it a pass. So in this, I'm going to, for one second, I'm gonna be like, okay, there's a little Fast 9 ishness to some things that happen here.
Exactly.
But when you make that connection about the super soldier serum, it doesn't seem that outlandish in this realm.
You had to go back to that. You had to go back to that.
No, but I really liked it. I did feel like this was a little bit different from their normal formula that they had, but there's a lot of the elements that they normally have from their superhero films. And I really thought that they did a great job of melding kind of a new storytelling technique into it. And I thought it was great. It gave us a lot of meat. It gave us a lot of places to go. It opened up the doors to a lot of questions, which I feel like Marvel is great at opening doors, opening up a lot of questions, and then answering them as we move into the later stages of that phase. So I think that'll happen here. It really was interesting. It's good to see. I am also very sad that Natasha is gone, that this, some of the last that we will get of her interacting with the Marvel timeline. But I was happy with what we got, and I felt like it was a great place. I do feel like it was overdue, but I was happy with what we saw here.
So to me, so going back to like some of the elements in this, Red Room, Dreykov, the man behind Red Room, we get, more of those elements. We find out what happened. I don't want to get into it too much to spoil it, but did you feel like there's just some substance missing to me which takes away from this film? Like where it goes into tropes and that it just, yeah, what I'm saying? Like I was let down by the final half of the film.
I will tell you this. I would have liked, I think we needed we need another couple scenes with Taskmaster. I feel like that's what you were missing. I think that's the part you need to see. You need to see Dreykov sending Taskmaster out on a mission that shows both of their sides. And I feel like that would have been the meat that was needed in the film. But in lieu of that, we got a lot of scenes with Natasha and Yelena and the family, which takes the place of that. It takes the screen time of it, because the movie is already like what 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. So we already got a lot with it. I do feel like there was that one scene that's missing to tie all that together. But like how many different ways can you have, kind of these normal characters? I thought it was interesting that Dreykov is kind of he's controlling the world in terms of like our human, like, financial markets and everything. Whereas the Avengers are actually fighting like otherworldly beings to keep our reality intact, with Doctor Strange. But you got to remember, there's also people who are still fighting for the little scraps of humanity that aren't fighting this big war off against aliens and or the big three, wizards, aliens, and androids. So there's still humanity fighting humanity too. So I was okay with it. I thought it fills in that piece. It also fills in some of the pieces that we have from like Falcon and Winter Soldier and whatnot, where there are pieces being moved amongst humanity that have nothing to do with these extraterrestrial threats.
Got you. So what are some of your notes too that you have, man? What's another story point that you wanted to?
I feel like I've got them all out there. I really, really enjoyed it. The outlandishness of action at times. I forgot that I was craving it, and I really wish I could have saw it on like the big screen to get it first, because I feel like that does help you be engrossed in the moment, so that you're not thinking like, okay, that was, when you're at home eating popcorn watching it, it's different than when you're in the movie theater and you're just like, oh, this is wild. I really loved it. You walk away differently. But I am going to see it in the theater, like you said, so that I can get those good I like yous from it. But yeah, I really liked the film. I really liked getting the emotionality of Yelena being the child who saw things differently than Natasha. Like Natasha has this very realistic look back on things, like it was a family, but whatever, it was fake. But then Yelena comes up not having that. It's like it was real. Like that was the only thing I knew. Like from my cognitive ability, that's the only thing I knew. So the beginning of my life is this happy family, these happy moments, and then it went into all this other stuff, as opposed to where Natasha has, the memories before, during, and after. So I thought that was cool, and I thought that really helped bridge the gap. And I really want to see what happens with Yelena moving forward. That was kind of my focus, because I knew.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think again we saw Florence get born as the new Black Widow with this, because we know that Natasha's now gone, and so to see this family relationship, it was a kind of a way to send off, that's what I'm saying. I think it came out at the perfect moment of now, you know what I'm saying? As you were saying earlier, if we saw this, it would have came out earlier, before we knew that, not Rachel, but Scarlet was going to be gone after Infinity War and, Endgame and all that. Here we're seeing like the birth of Florence Pugh as Black Widow, and who knows if she's going to continue with that on, without spoiling stuff. But we know she's in this universe now. We're introduced to this character, and if you're in the comics, you know that this character exists. So I think she killed it, and I think it was just outstanding to me, and was a standout. And then learning more of the family, learning more of the Red Room. I think I would have loved to see more of that story element. Still would love to know more about Budapest. We had some throwbacks to Budapest in there. Glenn, what do you think about that? But we would always hear with Hawkeye and Natasha.
Yeah, I thought that I would have liked to see that. I would have liked to get that action sequence, because we've heard so much about it. So I would have liked to get at least a little bit of that action sequence. Maybe that could have been somewhere that Taskmaster was like studying that footage to learn those moves and learn that. So that was a little bit of a letdown, because we get to hear it's showing, it's telling, not showing. I would have liked to show us Budapest, show us what happened there, because it's actually a key point. You know what I mean? Like that moment is a moment where they were trying to take out Dreykov. You know what I'm saying? They had moments where they're locked together, so you get to see the closest. And I thought that would have also brought us closer to that relationship that Clint and Natasha had, and it'll make all the scenes that they had together much more impactful. But we didn't get it in this one. Maybe it's in deleted scenes, maybe not. So that's unfortunate. But I really I enjoy what we had here. I did miss my Marvel fix. I feel like this gave it to me, and I'm really looking forward to the next movies in the phase.
I'm with you. I also remembered another character that kind of annoyed me a little bit, but then was all right. It just like, okay, so her little special handler that helps keep her off the grid, and then later on comes back again to help her with stuff. Like, it was like her own butler. You know what I'm saying? Like how Tony has butler. Hey, here, I'm here. I got this stuff to help you out. Like, I think there needed to be more exposition, more story on how they knew each other. Because like she's a loner, and then you got this guy and where are you getting the money to fund this guy to give you all this cool stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Or like what? Like where was he in all the other thing? Because it's like this guy that apparently has helped her out of all these situations, but we've never seen them before.
Exactly.
And never got an inkling that they even existed. So and that's why having the Budapest story would have been,
because maybe it's
really interesting. Yeah, because then if you have you have a crazy shootout with Natasha and Clint, then you get to figure out how this guy came into being, how he has known her since back then and has helped her out. Maybe she saved his life during the Budapest shootout or something like that, instead of taking him out when she was an assassin. And they've always had a look. I'm writing the thing in my head right now, but I feel like that would have been great to get that scene, to get that fight between Natasha or with Clint, Natasha, and then have this character in there so that we kind of get an idea of what's going on. Because he seems like a player. If he could get a Quinjet, right? It was a Quinjet, right? If he could get a Quinjet. Yeah, if he could get a Quinjet, he's got to be a major player in the world. He's got to be doing something. So we need to figure out what was going on, So yeah, man. There's so much more I want to say. There's so much more I know Glenn and I want to talk about. We may have to do like a special kind of quick wrap up once this film is out.
that talks about that ending. There's a special ending, as we all know. Marvel keeps this stuff at the end of the trailer, not at the end of the trailer, but at the end of the film. That bridges the gap that gets you going to the next film. So you know what? We'll record that, but we're not going to put that out. So stay tuned on the release date, and Glenn and I will talk all about where we're going forward. Actually, we're going to record that now. So stay tuned to the channel, but you're not going to see that special part until this film drops, which is going to be, let me get that going again.
9th.
July 9th. So July 9th, tune back into the NRW to see us talking about going forward with the MCU and what this sets up. All right, y'all. So Glenn, let them know how they can reach out to us and you before we sign off.
Hey, Level Up Comedy, levelupcomedy.com. Check me out. Blur Dat Podcast. We dropped a new episode every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, but weekly for sure. So Blur Dat Podcast, Level Up Comedy, Glenn Lawrence Comedy. Check us out. I'm always saying some funny things, trying to give you a giggle in this crazy, crazy world.
Yes, as well as here on the NRW, where he and I will talk on all kinds of things, probably just be all over the place like we do. You know, we're nerds, we're fans, and that's what we do. So anyway,
we get hyped up, we nerd out.
Yeah, follow my boy Glenn Lawrence at Level Up Comedy. Your boy Cool Ya P, that's me. Follow me at Strange Since 1977, as well as at Temple Far East. One of those is Twitter, one of those is IG. Over at the Nerds of Color, where we give you pop culture from the POC perspective. And over there, I have my Show Pal Show, where I give you Filipinx representation within all that. And obviously over here at the NRW, where nerds rule the world, and that's at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday. Your boy Cool Ya P, Glenn Lawrence. We're out of here. Black Widow, go see it. It's good times.
Wow.
Boom.
Don't wait.